Please like this video. It will really help this story reach as many people as possible. Thank you so much for your support. Lauren walked into the kitchen at 6:12 like she always did, opened the fridge like she always did, and then, without looking at me, said, "Don't wait up Tuesday. I've got a late thing." Not, "Work ran long." Not, "We've got a client." Just a thing. I was standing at the counter, lining up tomorrow's envelopes, utilities, property tax, the gym dues, because that's what I do. Order. System. Keys on the hook. Bills paid early. The house in West Omaha running like a schedule, not a mood. I looked at her. She was already looking at her phone. Not texting, just holding it like it was a passport. "A late thing," I repeated. Lauren shrugged like I'd asked what color the sky was. "Yeah. Tuesday," I said. "Same Tuesday as last Tuesday." She finally glanced up, gave me that half smile that isn't warm. "Ethan, relax. Not everything needs your spreadsheet brain." I let the silence sit there for a second. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. I just watched her slide past me, brush by the coffee maker, and head down the hall. Then I saw it. New perfume. Sharp. Not her usual soft, clean stuff. This one had an edge to it, like she wanted to be noticed from across a room. I stood there with my envelopes and listened to her bedroom door click shut. If I'd known where it was headed, I would have moved faster and talked less. Because with Lauren, the words were always noise. The pattern was the truth. And that Tuesday thing wasn't the start. It was just the first time she stopped pretending I deserved a real explanation. The next day, Cassie showed up at my work around lunch, which was unusual. Cassie isn't a drop by the office person unless something is off. She's been in our circle forever. Thanksgivings, 4th of July barbecues, those boring double-date dinners where everybody argues about where to eat like it's a big life decision. Cassie's the rare one who can talk to Lauren without kissing her ring, and talk to me without acting like I'm the enemy. She's not loyal to drama. She's loyal to facts. She leaned in my doorway with a to-go coffee in her hand and a look that said she'd been debating whether to come. "You got a minute?" Cassie asked. I waved her in. "You're here. That means I'm either dying or you're about to ruin my appetite." Cassie gave a quick smile, then it disappeared. "I went by your place yesterday. Lauren was home." I kept my voice even. "Okay. She's different," Cassie said. "Not in a new haircut way." I sat back in my chair. "Different how?" Cassie looked down at her cup like the answer was printed on the lid. "In your hallway, I smelled this new perfume. Strong. Not her. Then in your bedroom. Don't freak out. I wasn't snooping. There was a skirt on the chair. Tight. Short. Like something she'd have laughed at 5 years ago." I didn't flinch. I didn't ask, "Why were you in my bedroom?" Because Cassie and Lauren have always been like that. Friends with a key, friends who fold each other's laundry when life gets busy. Cassie kept going. She didn't hide it. She just said, "I'm updating my wardrobe." Like she was talking about paper towels. I nodded once. "And you're telling me because..." Because it didn't feel like updating. It felt like switching gears, Cassie said. And I saw a red lipstick in the bathroom. Bright red. Lauren doesn't do bright red. I stared at the corner of my desk where I keep a little wooden tray for paper clips and pens. Straight lines. Straight edges. The way I like it. "Maybe she's having a midlife moment," I said, calm. Cassie shook her head. "It's not just that. She's getting ready like she's going somewhere she wants to be seen." I didn't respond right away. I opened my calendar on the computer because that's how my brain breathes. Dates, times, patterns. Tuesday, Tuesday, Tuesday. Cassie lowered her voice. "And she's guarding her phone. Not obvious. Just different. Like it never leaves her hand." That landed. Not in my stomach. In my head. Because my credit card alerts had been landing the same way. I'd seen the charges. A pricey restaurant on a Tuesday afternoon. Flowers bought across town. Small purchases in a row like somebody was building an alternate routine. Not groceries. Not home stuff. Not our life. I looked at Cassie. "Anything else?" Cassie hesitated, then said, "Tuesdays. She's always extra put together on Tuesdays." I gave a short exhale. Not panic. Confirmation. "Thanks," I told her. That's all I needed. Cassie's eyebrows lifted. "Ethan, you okay?" I met her eyes. "I'm not going to do something stupid. I'm going to do something clean." Cassie didn't push. That's why she's worth keeping around. She just nodded and said, "If you need me, I'm around." I'm not picking sides, but I'm not lying either. When she left, I sat there for a full minute doing nothing. Then I opened my banking app and checked the last month again. Same days, same rhythm. People think betrayal starts with some dramatic scene. For me, it started with a Tuesday pattern and a shared friend who wasn't afraid to tell the truth. And that afternoon, I made my first move before Lauren even knew we were playing a different game. I didn't confront her. I didn't demand her phone. I didn't go digging like a teenager. I drove to an attorney's office in a strip of buildings off Dodge, the kind of place that smells like copier paper and quiet decisions. I sat down, laid out our situation like a project plan, and said, I want everything prepared. Separation agreement. Post-marriage agreement. The whole packet. I'm not here to argue. I'm here to protect myself. The attorney studied me for a second like he was trying to figure out if I was angry. I wasn't angry. Not yet. I was awake. Okay, he said. We'll draft. You'll review. You'll decide what you want to present. I nodded. Good. By the time I got home, I had a folder in my briefcase and a very clear sense of where my lines were. Lauren was at the stove, stirring something that smelled like it came out of a jar and wanted credit for being homemade. You're late, she said, without looking up. I had an appointment, I replied, hanging my keys on the hook like always. Routine doesn't stop because someone else is slipping. With who? She asked, casual but sharp. I washed my hands. A professional. Let me pause the story for just a second. If you're still listening, please hit the like button on this video. It really helps YouTube show this story to more people. Thank you so much for the support. Now let's get back to the story. Lauren gave a little laugh. Of course, Mr. Mystery. I sat at the table, opened my mail stack, and started sorting. You want to know? You can ask like an adult. Lauren turned, spoon in hand like a pointer. You're acting weird. You've been acting weird. I looked up. Funny. I was going to say the same thing. Her eyes narrowed. Here we go. No, here we go, I said. Just a question. Why do you need a late thing every Tuesday now? Lauren's mouth tightened. Because I have a life. News to me, I replied. She slammed the spoon into the pot harder than necessary. You don't get to interrogate me, Ethan. I'm not one of your accounts. I leaned back. I'm not interrogating you. I'm listening to what you choose not to say. Lauren walked to the fridge and opened it like it was a shield. You're exhausted. You're paranoid. It's pathetic. I stared at her, steady. Don't talk to me like that. She laughed again, and this time it was mean. Or what? You'll color code my freedom? I stood up, took my plate from the cabinet, and set it on the table. Or I'll start living like you're not my partner. Lauren froze for half a second. That was the first crack in her confidence. Then she tried to recover. Oh, please. You wouldn't know what to do without me. I didn't bite. I picked up my fork, sat down, and ate. The first rule I changed was simple. I stopped chasing her attention like it was a prize. I kept my schedule, my gym, my work, my sleep. I stopped asking where she was going. I started watching. 2 days later, Lauren came home and found me in the garage going through storage bins. What are you doing? She asked, like I was rearranging her hair. Inventory, I said. Just making sure I know what's mine. Lauren's face twitched. That's dramatic. I held up a bin labeled Ethan Tools. This is the opposite of dramatic. This is me being clear. She stepped closer, lowered her voice. You're making this weird for no reason. I clicked the lid shut. If you want not weird, stop acting like you're running a second calendar. Lauren's eyes flashed. You don't own me. I nodded. Correct. And you don't get access to me if you treat me like I'm furniture. She stared at me, then turned and walked back inside with stiff shoulders. That night, something strange happened. An illusion, if you want the polite word. Lauren knocked on the door of my home office around 9:30, holding a mug of tea. I made this, she said, softer than she'd been in weeks. I looked at the mug, then at her. Since when do you make tea? She forced a small smile. Since I can. Since I've been snappy. I didn't move. That's accurate. Lauren stepped inside like she belonged there. I'm sorry. Work's been stressful. I shouldn't take it out on you. I kept my eyes on hers. You shouldn't. She set the mug on my desk carefully, like she was placing a peace offering. Can we just reset? I let the silence stretch. Reset to what? Lauren's jaw tightened, but she kept the soft voice. To us. To normal. I nodded once. Normal is honesty. Her eyes flickered. I'm being honest. I didn't argue. I just said, Then Tuesdays won't be a mystery anymore. Lauren's shoulders stiffened. Ethan. I held up a hand. No, you don't get to give me tea with one hand and hide your phone with the other. Lauren's face changed, just a flash of irritation under the apology mask. Then she recovered and reached out like she was going to touch my shoulder. I leaned back in my chair, not dramatic, just out of reach. Good night, Lauren. She stood there a second too long, then turned and walked out without the mug. That little apology wasn't warmth. It was a tactic, and it told me something important. She felt my distance. She didn't like it. The next week, Lauren tried a new angle. She started making demands like I owed her something for the privilege of being ignored. Saturday morning, I was at the kitchen table with the budget binder open. Same routine I've had for years. I was marking down the month's expenses, clean columns, clean categories. Lauren walked in wearing workout clothes that looked brand new. Not flashy, just intentional. She glanced at the binder like it offended her. We need to talk about money. I didn't look up. We can talk. Go ahead. Lauren dropped her phone on the counter face down. I need more flexibility. I'm tired of asking permission like I'm a child. I finally met her eyes. You've never asked permission. You've always had access. That's different. Lauren crossed her arms. I want my own account. My own card. No questions. I gave a small smile. Not friendly. You already have your own card. Then stop watching it, she snapped. I closed the binder slowly. No, that card is attached to my name. I'm responsible for it. So I watch it. Lauren leaned forward. You're controlling. I tilted my head. I'm consistent. You used to like that. She scoffed. I used to think it meant you cared. Now it just feels like you want to trap me. I nodded like I'd heard a useful piece of information. Okay, here's the new rule. Her eyes narrowed. Excuse me. I stood, walked to the drawer where we keep important documents, mortgage, insurance, car titles, and took out a plain envelope. I'm separating finances, I said. Starting today. Lauren laughed, loud and fake. You can't just decide that. I can, I replied calm. I just did. She stepped closer, voice rising. We're married, Ethan. And I'm not funding a life I'm not part of, I said. Lauren's face flushed. You're punishing me because I'm not sitting at home waiting for you to check boxes. I picked up my keys. You want independence? You'll get it. You want freedom? You'll pay for it. Her voice went sharp. Where are you going? I looked at the clock. I'm going to meet Ron at the hardware store. We're fixing his deck stairs. You can spend the morning figuring out your budget. Lauren's eyes widened like she couldn't believe I'd pick a neighbor's deck over her argument. That's your answer? She demanded. I smiled thinly. No, that's my schedule. I walked out while she stood there, stuck between anger and disbelief. That was initiative, not a tantrum, a new structure, and it set off her next move. Public disrespect, because she thought she could drag me back into line by embarrassing me. Sunday afternoon, Cassie hosted a small barbecue. Nothing fancy. Backyard chairs, cheap paper plates, kids running around. Normal American life. Lauren showed up wearing that sharp perfume again and a tight skirt that made no sense for a casual cookout in Omaha. She looked like she was dressed for attention, not comfort. Cassie greeted us with a careful smile. Hey, glad you made it. I handed her a small bag of chips. Thanks for having us. Lauren kissed Cassie's cheek and whispered something that made Cassie's smile fade. We were 10 minutes in when Lauren started needling. Cassie's friend Drew, single guy, loud, always joking, asked me, So Ethan, you still running your house like an airport control tower? I chuckled. Someone has to make sure planes don't crash. Lauren jumped in fast. Oh, he loves control. It's his whole personality. I turned my head slightly. Lauren. She smiled like she was innocent. What? It's true. Drew laughed, but it was awkward. Cassie's eyes flicked between us. I kept my tone light, but firm. We're not doing that here. Lauren's smile tightened. Doing what? Telling the truth. Cassie stepped in. Hey, let's not. Lauren cut her off. No, Cass. It's fine. Ethan can handle it. He's tough, right? I watched Lauren's face. She wasn't joking. She was testing how far she could push me with an audience. So I gave her what she wasn't expecting. A boundary in public, clean and calm. I set my drink down on the patio table. Lauren, don't talk about me like I'm your punchline. Not here. Not anywhere. Her eyes widened, then narrowed. Wow. Sensitive much. I nodded once. Call it whatever you want. It's a rule. Drew suddenly found the grill very interesting. Cassie stopped moving, like she didn't want to miss what happened next. Lauren laughed again, louder. A rule. Listen to him. The man writes marriage policies now. I smiled politely, like I was talking to a stranger. And you're about to learn what happens when you violate them. Lauren's face tightened. Are you threatening me? No, I replied. I'm informing you. Cassie took a step toward us. Lauren, maybe you should. Lauren turned to Cassie, voice sweet and sharp at the same time. Oh, don't worry. Ethan loves lectures. He probably has a binder for this too. That was her. Twist the knife, then act like you're joking so you can call everyone else dramatic. I didn't react emotionally. I reacted structurally. I pulled my phone out, opened my calendar, and said, "We're leaving." Lauren blinked. "We just got here." I looked at Cassie. "Thanks for having us." Cassie nodded slowly, eyes steady on Lauren. "Yeah, sure." Lauren grabbed my arm, hard enough to make a point. "You're not going to embarrass me like this." I looked down at her hand on my arm, then back at her face. "Take your hand off me." She hesitated, then let go like she'd touched something hot. In the car, Lauren turned on me the second the doors closed. "You humiliated me." I started the engine. "You tried to humiliate me." I ended the scene. "You're acting like some kind of martyr," she snapped. I kept my eyes on the road. "Don't use that tone. It's not working." Lauren leaned back, furious. "You're punishing me because you can't handle me having a life." I glanced at her once. "No, I'm changing access because you don't respect me." She went quiet for a moment. Then she tried a softer approach, another illusion, but not fully formed yet. "Ethan," she said, voice suddenly calmer. "You're scaring me." I laughed once short. "Good. That means you're paying attention." We drove the rest of the way in silence. That night, I didn't sleep next to her. I took a pillow and went to the guest room. Lauren stood in the hallway watching me. "Really? You're doing this now?" I set the pillow down. "I'm doing it because I'm done pretending everything's fine." Her eyes went sharp. "So what are you going to do? Throw me out?" I looked at her, steady. "I'm going to make decisions. You can adapt." I closed the guest room door, not as a dramatic slam, just a clean end to the conversation. And that's when I knew the next step was coming, because Lauren doesn't tolerate losing control quietly. Tuesday came. Lauren was up early, dressed like she was going to a stage, not an office. Hair done, makeup perfect, the sharp perfume again. I was at the counter with my coffee, watching her with calm focus. She glanced at me like I was a piece of furniture. "Don't start." "I wasn't going to," I replied. "I just want one thing." Lauren's eyes narrowed. "What?" "Your phone," I said. She froze. "Absolutely not." I nodded. "Okay." Lauren's chin lifted. "Okay, that's it." I took a sip of coffee. "That's it. I'm not going to wrestle you for it." She looked confused for a second, like she'd prepared for a fight and got handed a locked door instead. "What are you doing?" she demanded. I set my mug down. "I'm making sure you understand the new setup. You have privacy. I have boundaries. And you don't get my resources if you treat me like a convenience." Lauren's eyes flashed. "You're insane." I smiled slightly. "I'm consistent." She grabbed her purse and headed for the door, then turned back with a cold smile. "You'll regret this." I nodded. "Maybe, but I won't respect myself if I don't do it." She left, and the house went quiet. That afternoon, I got the folder from my briefcase and placed it in the safe spot behind the old photo albums in the closet. Not hidden like a secret, stored like a tool. Ready. When Lauren came home, she acted normal. Too normal. She made dinner. She asked about my day like she remembered the script. She even laughed at one of my dry comments. It almost would have worked if I hadn't already seen the pattern. After dinner, she sat on the couch scrolling her phone, smiling at something that had nothing to do with me. I walked into the living room and said, "I'm going to bed." Lauren looked up. "In the guest room?" I nodded. "Yes." She sighed dramatically. "Ethan, this is getting old." I looked at her. So is being lied to. Her eyes snapped. "There you go again with that accusation." I didn't argue. I just went down the hall. Half an hour later, I heard the shower turn on in the master bathroom. I waited. Not because I was sneaking. Because timing matters when you want clarity without chaos. I went to the closet, pulled out the folder, and carried it to the bedroom. I laid the documents out on the bed in a neat stack. Clean edges. Clean order. The way I do everything. Then I sat in the chair by the dresser and waited. Lauren walked out of the bathroom with a towel around her hair, wearing a robe like we were still a normal couple. She stopped in the doorway the second she saw the papers. She didn't ask what they were. She knew. Her voice came out careful. What is this? I kept my tone flat. A plan. Lauren walked closer slowly, eyes scanning the top page like it might bite her. You went behind my back. I nodded once. Yes. Her head snapped up. How dare you? I shrugged. You don't get to say how dare you while you're living 2 Tuesdays. Lauren's mouth opened, then closed. She tried the soft laugh again. Ethan, you're spiraling. You're making things up. I didn't move. How long has it been going on? Lauren's eyes hardened. Nothing is going on. I repeated, steady, how long? She stepped closer and lowered her voice like she was talking to a child. You're tired. You've been stressed. You're seeing patterns that aren't there. I looked at the papers, then back at her. There is a pattern. I'm asking you a simple question. Lauren's face shifted, irritation creeping in. You're being paranoid. I didn't blink. Is there someone else? Lauren's eyes darted away for half a second. That pause said more than her mouth ever could. She forced a laugh. Oh my God. I stayed still. Answer. Lauren's voice rose. You want to throw away 23 years because I bought a skirt and lipstick? I tilted my head. No. I want the truth because you've been treating me like I'm not even in the room. Her face tightened. You work all the time. You live in your routines. You don't see me. I nodded. Okay, that's your complaint. Now answer my question. Lauren threw her hands up. I felt invisible. I needed to remember I still mattered. I kept my tone even. Name. Lauren stared at me like she couldn't believe I was refusing to comfort her mid-confession. Let me pause the story for just a second. If you're still listening, please hit the like button on this video. It really helps YouTube show this story to more people. Thank you so much for the support. Now let's get back to the story. Ethan. Name. I repeated, same volume, same calm. Lauren swallowed. Trevor Hayes. There it was. A real person. Not a vague story. A clean fact. I nodded once. Marketing guy. Lauren's eyes widened slightly. You know him? I know you mentioned him after that office dinner. I replied. You called him refreshing. Lauren stepped closer, voice urgent. It wasn't like that. It started as talking. Then, some lines got blurred. It wasn't. I cut her off, calm. Don't sell me a softer version. Just tell me what you did. Lauren's face flushed. We got close. There were moments. We almost crossed a line. We stopped. I looked at her for a long second. You didn't stop. You managed. You kept the home base and chased the spotlight. Lauren snapped. That's not fair. I nodded. Fair isn't the topic. Respect is the topic. Lauren's eyes went cold. So what now? You think you're going to punish me with paperwork? I picked up the stack, squared it with a tap on the bed, and held it in my hand like it was exactly what it was, a tool. Here's what now, I said. You sign when you're ready. Lauren laughed, shaky and angry. You can't just end it like that. I looked at her, steady. I'm not ending it with yelling. I'm ending it with reality. She stepped forward like she was going to argue harder, then stopped when she saw I wasn't moving. What do you want from me? She demanded. I answered without heat. Space. Financial separation. No more shared bedroom. No more pretending. You want attention outside this house. You can build your life outside this house. Lauren's eyes flashed. So you're throwing me away. I nodded once. I'm removing myself from being used. For a second, she looked genuinely scared. Then her face shifted into a new strategy. I can fix this, she said quickly. I'll cut him off. I'll prove it. I'll do anything. I studied her. Anything except respect me before you got caught. Lauren stepped closer, voice suddenly soft. Ethan, please. We can go to counseling. I shook my head once. I'm not paying a stranger to teach you basic decency. That line hit her. She stared at me, mouth tight. I walked past her toward the guest room with the documents in my hand. Behind me, Lauren's voice changed, cold again. You're going to regret acting like you're above this. I paused at the hallway, turned my head just enough to make sure she heard me. I'm not above it, I said. I'm done living under it. I closed the guest room door and locked it. That night, Lauren didn't cry. She didn't apologize. She plotted. The next morning, she tried the second illusion. Bigger, shinier, designed to reset my stance. She came into the kitchen early, hairstyled, makeup light and natural. wearing one of the sweaters I always liked. She moved like someone performing wife again. I made breakfast, she said, setting a plate down in front of me. Eggs, toast, fruit. The full effort. I looked at it. That's new. Lauren sat across from me, hands folded. I want to show you I'm serious. I took a bite, because I'm not a child. Food doesn't change facts. Her eyes held mine. I told Trevor it's over. I nodded. Okay. Lauren leaned forward. I blocked him. I deleted the messages. I raised an eyebrow. Convenient. She flinched, then recovered. I'm trying. I set my fork down. Trying would have happened before you needed a safety net. Lauren's face tightened. You're being cruel. I gave a short laugh. Cruel is making me finance your secret confidence boost. She inhaled sharply. That's not what it was. I shrugged. It looked like it. It smelled like it. It smelled like it. Lauren reached across the table like she was going to touch my hand. Please, don't throw away our life. I pulled my hand back. Not dramatic, just clear. Our life already got thrown around. I'm just the one cleaning up. Her voice went softer, more desperate. What do you want me to do? I stood up, took my plate to the sink, and rinsed it. I want you to move into the guest room. I want you to get your own account. I want you to stop acting like you can charm your way out of consequences. Lauren's eyes filled, but her tone turned sharp. So you want me punished? I turned off the faucet. I want structure. You can call it punishment if that helps you sleep. She stared at me like she wanted to hate me, but she also wanted the comfort back. That afternoon, she tried a counterattack. She called my sister, Marlene, and invited her over to talk, without telling me. Marlene showed up at our door with that concerned family look, like she was walking into a crisis. Lauren greeted her with fake warmth. Marlene, thank you for coming. I walked into the hallway, saw my sister, and immediately knew Lauren was trying to recruit a witness. Marlene, I said calm. What's up? Marlene looked between us. Lauren said you two are having issues. Lauren's voice went sweet. Ethan's making extreme decisions. I'm worried about him. I gave a small smile. Of course you are. Marlene frowned. Ethan, what's going on? I didn't take the bait. I didn't argue in front of my sister. I just set a boundary on foreign territory inside my own home. I looked at Marlene. I'm fine. And I'm not discussing my marriage in the entryway. Lauren cut in. He's trying to force me to sign documents. Marlene's eyes widened. Documents? I nodded once. Yes. Lauren jumped in fast. He's paranoid. He thinks. I held up a hand. Stop. Lauren froze, annoyed. I looked at Marlene again. I love you, but you're not a referee here. If you came to support me, great. If you came to pressure me, you can leave. Marlene blinked. Ethan. I kept my voice calm. This is not a group project. Lauren's face hardened. You see? This is what I deal with. His control. I glanced at Lauren. Your control is calling my family to corner me. Marlene's cheeks flushed. Lauren, did you call me because you wanted me to talk him out of something? Lauren hesitated. That hesitation did the damage. Marlene exhaled. Oh, okay. Lauren snapped. Don't take his side. Marlene's voice went firm. I'm not taking sides. I'm taking notes. And this feels manipulative. Lauren's eyes flashed with anger. Wow, thanks. I opened the front door. Marlene, I'll call you later. Lauren, this ends now. Lauren stared at the open door. You're kicking your sister out? I looked at her. No, I'm ending your little ambush. Marlene stepped outside, gave me a look that said she understood more than she wanted to, and left. Lauren turned on me. You're cold. I nodded. I'm clear. She hissed. You'll be alone. I smiled slightly. Better alone than disrespected. That night, Lauren tried to swing back to affection like nothing happened. She knocked on my guest room door in a silk robe that wasn't for sleep. It was for persuasion. Ethan, she said softly through the door. Can we talk? I opened it just enough to look at her. No. Her eyes widened. You're seriously going to reject your wife? I kept my face neutral. You rejected me for months. I'm just not pretending anymore. Lauren's voice got sharp. You're doing this to hurt me. I shook my head. I'm doing this to protect myself. She stared at me, then her face twisted into anger. Fine. Enjoy your lonely little rules. I closed the door, and right then my phone buzzed. It was a message from Cassie. You should know something. I saw Lauren's car today near Midtown at lunchtime. Tuesday pattern. She wasn't alone. That was the kill turn. Not a theory. Not a vibe. A sighting. I stared at the message, then set my phone down on the nightstand and just sat there, quiet. Lauren had told me Trevor was over. She'd served breakfast like a peace treaty. She'd tried to recruit my sister like a weapon. And she was still running Tuesday like a private club. In the morning, I didn't argue. I didn't ask for her phone. I didn't demand explanations. I acted. I went to the bank, opened my own account, and moved my direct deposit. I changed every automatic payment that came out of our account to come out of mine, except the mortgage and utilities, because I'm not interested in chaos. I'm interested in control. Then I met with the attorney again, reviewed the packet, and set a move-out plan that didn't involve shouting matches or legal theater. When I got home, Lauren was on the couch, scrolling, smiling at her phone again. I stood in front of her and said, "Pack a bag." Lauren looked up, startled. "What?" "Pack a bag," I repeated. "You're staying with Cassie for a few days." Lauren sat up. "You can't tell me to leave my house." I nodded. "I can tell you what I'm willing to live with. And you're not sleeping under this roof tonight." Her eyes flashed. "Cassie told you something." I smiled slightly. "Cassie doesn't have to tell me anything anymore. The pattern told me." Lauren stood up fast. "I told you I ended it." I tilted my head. "Then you won't mind being away from your Tuesday thing while you prove it." Lauren's voice rose. "You're insane. You're controlling. You're—" I cut her off, calm. "You're leaving tonight. Or I'm leaving, and you'll be responsible for every bill in this place until we separate it properly. Pick one." Lauren froze. She knew I meant it. That's the difference between a man who threatens and a man who moves resources. Her voice dropped. "You're really doing this?" I nodded. "Yes." She stared at me like she was seeing me for the first time. Not as her husband. As an obstacle. "You'll regret it," she said again, like it was her favorite line. I gave her a clean answer. "No. You will." Lauren's face hardened. "You think you're so perfect." I shrugged. "I'm not perfect. I'm just not available." She opened her mouth to say something else, then stopped. Her eyes flicked toward the hallway, toward the bedrooms, toward the comfort she'd been using as a backup plan. She went to pack. Cassie arrived an hour later. She stood on my porch with that careful expression, like she didn't want to be in the middle, but wasn't going to pretend nothing was happening. Lauren walked past her without meeting her eyes. Cassie looked at me quietly. "You sure?" I nodded. "I'm done being an option." Lauren turned at the car, voice sharp. "You're going to throw away 23 years because you're insecure." I smiled, small and controlled. "No. I'm throwing it away because you stopped respecting me and expected me to fund it." Lauren's face twisted. "You're acting like you're winning." I looked her dead in the eye. "I'm not winning. I'm leaving." She got into Cassie's car. Cassie hesitated, then said softly, "Lauren, don't make me regret helping you." Lauren didn't answer. Cassie drove off. The house felt quiet in a way it hadn't in years. Not sad. Clean. I walked inside and did one last thing. I took Lauren's spare key off my key ring and set it in a drawer with the documents. Not out of spite. Out of clarity. That was the final line for me. Access removed. Rules enforced. No drama. No return. A few months later, my life looked better than it had in a long time. I moved into a smaller place on my terms. Clean, quiet, no tension hanging in the air. I rebuilt my schedule without having to negotiate my dignity. Work got sharper because my mind wasn't constantly buffering someone else's double standards. I started spending time with people who actually liked me, not people who tolerated me as part of a package. Ron still needed help with projects. Marlene came around again after she realized I wasn't spiraling. I was stabilizing. Cassie stayed in my life too, but in a simpler way: coffee, honest conversation, no secrets. And yeah, eventually I met someone new. Not a miracle. Not some movie moment. Just a calm woman who spoke directly, showed up when she said she would, and didn't treat a man's consistency like a weakness. As for Lauren, I didn't keep tabs like a bitter teenager. I just heard enough through the grapevine to know the truth. The comfort she tried to keep while chasing attention didn't stay comfortable. The extra life cost her the stable one. People stopped inviting her to things. The sympathy dried up when her stories didn't add up. And once she realized she couldn't pull my resources back into her orbit, the confidence act got real quiet. The last time she tried to call me, I let it go to voicemail. She left a message that sounded like a person still trying to negotiate. I didn't call back. Because the final boundary isn't a speech. It's silence backed by action. And the last thing I ever gave Lauren was the only thing she couldn't twist, an ending she didn't control. Our story has come to an end. If you've made it this far, how about subscribing to our channel? It helps us immensely. I've selected 2 other videos for you that I'm sure you'll enjoy. Feel free to click on them. I'll be waiting for you in the next story. See you soon.